think about the last question you asked. You didn't hesitate. You didn't worry. You didn't feel afraid. You simply typed it into Google. Now imagine a world where asking a question was dangerous. A world where why could make people suspicious of you, where curiosity could bring punishment instead of answers. Before we go further, subscribe to this channel for cinematic stories about how humans lived, survived, and searched for truth before the modern world. Now listen. Before Google, before books were common, before schools for everyone, most humans lived without answers. Not because they didn't want them, but because answers were controlled. In ancient societies, knowledge was power, and power was protected. If you wanted to know why the sun moved, why people became sick, or why kings ruled, you were expected to accept the explanation given to you, not question it. Because questioning meant doubt, and doubt looked like rebellion. Most people learned answers from elders, from priests, from leaders, and once an idea was spoken by authority, it became truth, even if it was wrong. There was no way to check, no way to compare, no way to correct mistakes. If a village believed the stars controlled destiny, that belief could last for centuries. If people thought disease was punishment from gods, they never searched for real causes. Wrong answers survived simply because they were never challenged. And yet, humans were curious by nature. They watched the sky. They noticed patterns. They wondered. But curiosity had to stay quiet, because in many places, asking questions was not a sign of intelligence. It was a sign of trouble. So people learned something important. Sometimes it was safer not to know. This is where our story truly begins, in a world where answers were rare and questions were heavy. Before Google, humans didn't search with machines. They searched with people. In ancient times, knowledge lived inside human minds. Memory was everything. If someone remembered laws, they became valuable. If someone remembered rituals, they became powerful. Scribes memorized entire systems of writing. Storytellers carried history in their voices. Teachers passed down answers word by word. One mistake could change generations. Because there were no backups, no copies, no cloud storage. If a wise elder died, his knowledge often died with him. That's why societies respected memory so deeply. Libraries existed, but they were rare and protected. Not everyone was allowed inside. And even when books existed, they were copied by hand, slowly, carefully, with human error. A single wrong word could change meaning forever. Most people never saw a book. Their answers came from stories. Stories about gods explained thunder. Stories about spirits explained sickness. Stories about fate explained suffering. These stories were not stupidity. They were survival tools. Humans used them to make sense of chaos. Travelers also brought answers, but slowly. A question asked in one land might be answered years later by someone passing through. By then, the world had already changed. Still, humans kept searching. Some observed nature instead of listening to stories. Some tested ideas quietly. Some noticed that not all answers made sense. These people were rare and often uncomfortable to society, but they were important because they slowly shifted how humans searched for truth, from belief to observation. And that change would shape the future. Everything changed when humans learned how to share answers faster. The invention of writing was powerful, but the invention of printing was revolutionary. Suddenly, answers could travel without people. Ideas could survive death. One book could reach thousands, and this terrified those who controlled knowledge. Because answers were no longer locked in memory, they were visible, repeatable, comparable. People could read different opinions. They could argue. They could notice contradictions. Truth became something that could be discussed, not just accepted. Universities grew, libraries expanded, but access was still limited. Books were expensive, education was rare. Most humans still lived without reliable answers, and many printed answers were still wrong. Science was incomplete, bias was everywhere. Yet something important had changed. Humans learned that answers improve when shared. Knowledge became less sacred and more practical. Searching for answers now meant reading, comparing, and thinking. This was the first real search system. Slow, imperfect, human, but it prepared the world for something bigger, a future where answers would no longer be controlled by place, power, or permission.
Today, answers are instant. Too instant. Before Google, humans struggled to find answers. Now, humans struggle to choose which answer to believe. We no longer memorize. We no longer wait. We search, we skim, we move on. The effort that once shaped human intelligence has disappeared. We gained speed, convenience, access, but we lost patience. Before Google, answers were slow but meaningful. Now they are fast but fragile. False information spreads faster than truth. Confidence often replaces understanding. Ironically, the ancient problem has returned, not the lack of answers, but the overload of them. And the human brain, still ancient, was never designed for endless information. So the question is no longer, how did humans find answers before Google? The real question is, are we still learning or just searching? If this story made you think, like, comment, and subscribe, because understanding how humans searched for answers helps us understand who we are becoming now.